What is up, guys? I am Joseph, this is Joseph's Place, and welcome to this episode of RSucation, where I'm going to attempt to teach you a little something about Runescape. And in this episode, we're actually going to focus in on Red Chinchompas. So this hunter will be actually from hunter level 63 until basically 99. Now there are other methods to get 99 other than Red Chinchompas, but this tutorial is just going to focus on in-depth Red Chinchompa hunting. So while I start with the introduction stuff, I'm actually going to start going towards where these Red Chinchompas are, as it's going to take us a little bit of time to walk there. So I am starting in Zarnus, and I'm going to use fairy rings. Now you can use like a Yanil teleport, a watchtower teleport, or a castle ring, a dueling ring, and take it to Castle Wars, and then run south to Feldip Hills. But I'm actually going to be using the fairy rings, and that's the method we're going to be using because it's just the easiest way to bank, as you have the Zarnus bank, and it's just the fastest way to get there. Now, in this guide, I'm going to show you actually 4 spots of where you can hunt Chinchompas. Now, I'm not going to use mainly the most popular spot, and you can see on screen here, I'll be walking to it while I do this introduction stuff. I'm not going to be using the most popular spot mainly. I'm actually going to show you what actually is my favorite spot to do this. So ignore these guys for now that you see hunting here. We're going to get back to these spots in a bit. But continuing on, I'm just going to give you just some general information about Red Chinchompa hunting. First off, we have the setup we will need. Now we will need full Larupia, which is the hat, the top, and the legs, which you can either buy off a player or have the fancy clothes shop in Varrock make it for you with, I think it's 3 tatty Larupia furs and then 1 clean one. But again, you can look up the requirements for that on your own. That's not the scope of this guide. But also, you'll need some box traps, as well as obviously the Drayman staff to get here, and then a bow and some arrows. Now, I have 6 box traps, even though you can only set up 5 at level 80. It would be 4 from 63 to 80, but after 80 you can set up 5. I take 6 just in case I mess something up, AFK, and 1 despawns, so just as a safety precaution. And then of course you will need a bow. I definitely prefer a longbow as it gives you the extra range, and that's more helpful than anything else at this point. So a longbow definitely would be highly suggested over a short bow. And then of course some arrows, and you see I have 1 Chinchompa and 1 coin just for placeholders for the Chinchompas and then random events. So now we are at our location. Now this is my favorite location, and personally I think it is the best location for a few reasons. One, there are only 2 spawns here for Chinchompas, but they are at the ideal locations for hunting. Now we are right next to the edge of the world, so this actually cuts off half of their roam range, and you can see the corner of the earth is right here, so it cuts off even more of their roam range, as they can't roam past any of this area. And that's very important because we are going to be focusing on killing any that pass our ideal range. So I'm going to just set up my traps here and show you what my setup would be normally. So I start off with this one just diagonally across from that little fern there, and then I just go 4 down diagonal, and then I go just 2 spots over from that one to the east and set up my last trap. Now, if you only have 4 traps, the one I would suggest taking out would be this one, and I'll show you why in just a minute. But the reason I have these set up like this is because it basically captures both spawn points. You see that this guy just spawned right here on top of this box trap, and the other spawn, if we kill this one real quick, is actually right above this trap right here. So there we go. So he'll spawn right around there, and then we'll be able to see that once he spawns. And yeah, there he goes. He spawns in one of those 2 places mainly. Now the reason this has become so good is because they have added the update to make it so resources respawn at a general rate, so it doesn't matter if a world is more populated or at least less populated, so everything respawns at the same rate. Previously this wasn't the best spot unless you're on world 1 or 2, because the respawn rates would have just been bad. And then the 3 Chinchompa spawn would have been better, but now we can just focus on 2 with constant respawn rates, and it works out the best in my opinion. Now before we get too far in, let me just tell you that the XP rates are about 88,000 per hour. Now I'm not going to say it is definitely that, because you could have some good hours, some bad hours, you could be AFKing a little bit, but on average you should be getting about 88,000 if you're paying at least about 75% attention. you should be able to get 50 Chinchompas in about 9 to 10 minutes. So I'm now just going to give you some general tips for hunting, and then at the end of the video I will show you the 3 other locations and how to set up your traps for those locations. But we're going to get into the main in-depth part at this area. So let me just give a little bit more of a reason why I set up the traps like this and not in the famous X pattern. I've seen people start it like this and then have one in this spot and then one here. Now, or even just where I normally do it, just with an extra one right here. The reason I don't do this is because anything past over here is just, it's useless. It doesn't help. And I'll show you if this is the right one. I'll show you what I mean. Now, we're really only going to be focusing on just 1.5 Chinchompas, so to speak. So as you can see, that one respawned right here. So with our traps here, we actually catch about 25% of his initial starting direction. So when he spawns, these guys move all the time. And right now, the catch radius for these is about, as you can see my mouse, is about right here. And that gives us about a 25 to 35% chance to get him right off the bat. And that is the most ideal, with having this one right here and then this one to catch, as the catch radius is about 2 squares. So it can be attracted to this one as well. And if it's not attracted to either of them, there's a 25% chance they just run right into the rest of the traps. And that's the reason I have those 2 traps there. And those 2 traps are really just mainly for that one Chinchompa. So let me just set those up again, just so we can not lose those 2 XP, those 2 Chinchompas worth of experience. And then the other 3 traps are actually just for that other Chinchompa. Now the reason I don't spread it out a little more is because having them all grouped in a similar manner is just easier and just a bit more efficient, as you don't have to click as much or move as much. Okay, so if that guy respawns, I'll show you my reasoning for these bottom 3. Now, he spawns inside of this one. Now, a lot of people would say it's better if he respawns inside, like it would be better if I set it up so he respawns in the middle of the 3. The reason I don't, again, is because it is much easier to have all of your traps grouped. So I have these all in a line, and then I have this one over here. And really, this catches over 50% of his possible starting directions. So he could either really just go left or right. If he goes right, he gets caught in our traps. If he goes left, he does what he is doing, and then he gets stopped by the end of the world, so we can just attack him and make him respawn. Now, I mean, this is the main Chinchompa we're focusing on. Say if you have a setup like this where there's 3 traps and you need to start collecting these guys, what you're going to want to do is just focus on that one while setting up your traps, and then basically just let the other one go free during this time, because you do want to make sure you maximize the amount of times you catch that one specifically. And then once you catch up on all of your traps, say this happens and this is just a normal run, he could just walk back, or you might have to kill him to have him respawn. But again, you do want to focus on this one. I'm sorry, I can't click today. You do want to focus on that one mainly, as there's 3 traps around that one, and you want to maximize the effectiveness of that one Chinchompa. And previously, again, this wasn't very efficient, as the respawn rates could be very poor. But with the added respawn rates and the buff to that for less populated worlds, makes this much better. So now that we have that taken care of basically why I set my traps up like this and what the main goal is. Again, the main goal is to focus a lot of time and effort on this one, and then about half the amount of time and effort on this one. Because again, that guy is kind of just an added bonus. And I mean, honestly, if you're just going by strictly a trap basis, if you have 6 units of time or 6 units of whatever we're measuring focus with, you want to spend 3 of those units, I'm sorry, if you have 5 units of focus, not 6, and you want to spend 3 of those units focusing on this one, as there's 3 traps, and then 2 units of focus on this one. So the percentage would probably be about 60-40. So 60% of your attention on this one, 40% on this one. Just because that's what the traps are around, honestly. And if you tried focusing 100% on both, you'll just get very behind, and it just wears you out. Now, this is especially evident when you have the 3 spawn, because you do have to pay much more attention, and that's the reason I actually don't like it. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But let me just give you just a few tips of how you can hunt Chinchompas effectively, and then the rest of the guide will just be me showing you the other locations. Now, when you have a trap that is either disabled or has a Chinchompa in it, instead of just clicking like this, and then you pick it up from the square next to it, what you can do is you can actually either right-click and press walk here, and then you'll walk, nope, and then you'll walk on top of the trap, and then you pick it up in place, and you can just place another one. Or you can click on the corners of that square, and you'll walk into that location. Now, the reason this is better, especially in this trap setup, say if I want to walk to this one, he just walks directly to it, instead of if I was here, and I needed to pick it up, and then I have to go here, set it, and then wait for him to finish his animation, and then walk over to that one. It just takes way too much time. And with my traps specifically set up like this, say I need to dismantle this one, set it up real quick, and then just directly walk to the next one. He walks diagonally, so there's only technically one square instead of two. So it saves time, and it is a bit more effective. Now, a few other things is animation canceling. Now, if you play games such as Dota or League of Legends, you might be familiar with animation canceling, as it basically allows you to CS. I mean, it's called orb walking or animation canceling, attack walking, things like that, if that rings a bell. But it basically allows you to do more things in a shorter amount of time. And this is true with RuneScape. It's probably more referred to as spell queuing. For example, if you're alching or doing something like that, you can queue the spells, so you actually have 2 spells queued up. So if you stopped alching, you do 1 more. You can actually technically do that with Hunter as well. So for example, if I am going to dismantle this trap, you see he spends about 1 tick coming up. But if I go on this trap and I dismantle it, right when it disappears, I click away, you automatically cancel that 1 tick. So that gives you 1 extra tick. And it really doesn't apply to anything else. So it's not like that 1 tick is being used for anything else. You literally save yourself 1 tick of time, which is 0.6 seconds. Now you may be thinking, oh, that's not very much. But honestly, you'll be hunting about 45,000 of these for 99. Not even more than that, actually, probably around 50,000. I haven't done the exact math because I do other things like black chins and stuff, but probably around 50,000. So even if you do it perfectly, they never dismantle a trap, and you have to get 50,000 traps. You have to pick up and replace 50,000 traps, and times 0.6. I'm just doing the math right here real quick. That's 30,000 seconds divided by, yeah, it's 30,000 seconds saved, and then divided by 60, you're literally saving 500 minutes of time. Now, if we divide that by 60 again, it's about, you know, it's not exactly that time, like you're not actually saving that much time, but it does add up. Like, I mean, you're saving 1 tick every single time you set up one of those traps. So, I mean, it's still going to take a while, but it's just a little bit of, I mean, it's not going to make Hunter faster. You're not going to noticeably make a difference, but it is, over the course of time, going to save you probably about an hour's worth of work. I mean, the direct math can't be done because it's not like right when I get up from this, I could just automatically go do something else. So it's probably going to save you about an hour's worth of work at least, and that's a considerable amount of time. So that's one way of animation canceling. Again, right when the trap is set up, just moving. Okay, actually messed that one up. Right when the trap gets set up, just moving, or right when you're dismantling a trap, just moving, so you don't have the up animation. Another way you can do it is when you're trying to kill these Chinchompas. Say I am picking up this trap and I want to shoot a Chinchompa right after it. So let me wait until one spawns. So I pick this up and then I click on him to shoot it. He has to go through the full animation of picking up the trap before he can shoot the arrow. Conversely, if you cancel the animation, so you pick it up and then right when it picks up you walk away and then try to shoot it, it actually does use that tick, because it takes time to line up the bow. Now there is a faster way of shooting these Chinchompas that I have found, and maybe it might not apply at all times. Didn't mean to do that, but this might not apply at all times, but it definitely does apply at times. So say there's a Chinchompa here and I want to set up a trap at the same time. If you click on the Chinchompa and then make a trap, and you set the trap, it uses the same ticks that it would to shoot the Chinchompa to set up the trap. Now this is the same way that you can woodcut an alk or do agility and alk at the same time. It uses the same ticks to do 2 different things, so it really saves time. So again, let me demonstrate this. Let me see if I can find one that's within range. It doesn't look like there is one within range. Alright, let me kill this one real quick. There we go. So again, if I try to pick this up and then shoot it, it goes through the whole animation and then shoots. Or if I have a trap and I try canceling the animation, so I pick it up and then I cancel the animation and then shoot it. Again, that is actually more difficult. It's more click intensive because you have to pick it up, cancel the animation, then click, and it does waste time. So again, my solution to that is set up the click on the Chinchompa to range it, while in the animation of the range, you set up the trap, and it saves you about a tick for that as well. So again, you are saving ticks here, and it's very, very helpful in the long run. One other thing I would suggest is putting your bow on long range. I believe it gives you 2 extra squares of range for when you're killing these guys. And when, just as a tip of when you should shoot them. For example, this one is far away. You should definitely shoot that one. That one is pretty obvious. I mean, he might come back, but he might not. So you want to shoot that one right away. But if they pause, for example, this one doesn't do it as much, but I've noticed a lot with the northern one. If they pause right away, just shoot them. Just right away shoot them, because you want them to get caught in your traps within their first movement. So let me shoot this guy. See right here, you want him to get caught. He got caught right in our traps right away. So if they pause for about half a second, it's possible they might be going another way, so just shoot him. You want to just reset it, because you see he actually would have run away from our traps. So just reset him, kill him. Takes about 1.5 seconds to respawn, and overall that will save you time. I mean, chances are there's a chance he might have run into your boxes, but there's a chance he might not have, and you don't want to take that chance, as the percentages, if you do the math, does go in favor if you just shoot him and then make him reset. So one more thing I do want to go over as I am doing this random event is always assume that your shot will kill him. I only have 44 ranged, so there's a lot of times I hit zeros, and that's why I have the accumulator on, to raise my range defense, as well as get the arrows back for me. But you always want to assume that you kill him with the first shot, because let me shoot this guy. So if you shoot him, the animation of putting the bow back can actually be canceled and transferred to walking. So if I shoot him, right when you shoot it, right when the arrow leaves the bow, you can start walking and doing something else. And you always want to assume that you killed the Chinchompa with the first hit. That way, you don't have to waste time waiting to see if it hits a 1 or a 0, especially if they're far away. Like this guy's far away, right when he shoots, you just assume it's a 1, and then go to pick up a trap or dismantle or do whatever you need to do. The reason you always assume is because more times than not it will be a 1. They have low defense, they have 1 hit point, and even at 44 range, there aren't many times I hit a 0. And to kind of safeguard against this, what you need to do is you can click them and then right click if you need to. Like say I click this guy, go do a trap, and then I right click on him, and if it hits a 0, I still have that queued up, so I can always just attack it again. And I mean, that's really it. I mean, we are 18 minutes into this, and I didn't think it would be this long, but I did want to get you guys those tips, those things, that little time-saving methods that can really help you in the long run. Now, that's it for the main part of the tutorial, for the main part of the guide. The rest of this guide will me just be showing you the different setups, and I'm actually probably just going to take pictures and then just commentate over the pictures of the setups I use for the different locations. So that's it for this part of the guide. I hope those little tips have helped you, and now I'm just going to get into the 3 other areas that is fairly efficient for hunting Chinchompas. Okay guys, and welcome to the next part of this guide, and I was just going to use a picture as it's really hard to find open worlds, especially at the time I'm recording this, but I was able to find an open world. So this is the next spot. Really it's easy to find. You basically just run to the edge of the map, the west edge, and then just run north just a little bit above the pond. And then there is a spot with a 3 Chinchompa spawn. Now, I personally don't like this spot. I think it's the worst, the second worst. I'll show you the worst in just a moment. But the reason I don't like this is because the Chinchompa spawn places are very awkward and really far away. If I just kill these guys, you can see where they are. And it's kind of in a circle around where you're going to be placing your traps. So there's one here, and I believe the last one is here. Or here. That's even worse. Now, the reason I like my original spot with just the 2 is because you can focus on those 2, and that's all you need to do. With focusing on 3, it just adds a lot more stress, and you really don't even get any benefit from it that I've noticed. Now, this is the setup I would use for my traps. I would use the X formation, because, again, I would want to focus on those side 2 more than that third random one, and just leave that guy as just an extra if you get lucky. But the reason, again, I don't like this one is because there is far more roam area. Like, there's only a half chance he gets caught in it, and then he can just go off and do whatever. And then the other guy, again, the same percent. It's actually 25% of the directions he can go. And then this guy all the way over here, you have to get very lucky for him to wander all the way to this side. We see I believe he just did, that was that one. But a lot of the times you aren't going to be getting that one. So you're going to have to be chasing these guys down, and right when they start going the wrong direction, just shooting them right away so they respawn and reset. And again, I would count this as the third one. That last one I showed you would have been my first choice, and then this would be my third choice. But it was the next easiest to get a world for. But that would be the trap setup I would use, as it catches 2 of the 3, and is just probably the closest you can get, as it's 1 square away from this one, the east one, the southeast one, 1 square away from the north one, and then it's only a few squares away from the southernmost Chinchompa spawn. So again, with this spot, you usually just need to make sure you just shoot the Chinchompas right away. As soon as they looks like they're going another direction, just make sure you shoot them, just so they're not going to get away and they can reset and hopefully go towards your traps. So that is the second area. Again, I would rank this third on the list. So I'm going to bring you next to the next area, whichever one I can find an open world for. Okay guys, this is actually what I would call the worst spot, as there are only 2 spawns, but the roam radius of the Chinchompas is very large, and the spawn distances are fairly far apart. Now, with 5 traps, I would set it up as I'm going to, and just keep in mind, if you do ever have 4 traps, if you are under 80, for the X, just leave out the middle. For the last one, it would be the same, and this one as well, just leave out the middle. This would be the proper setup in these exact spots, as it's 1 block away from both of these spawns, both of the Chinchompa spawns, 1 block away from that one, and then 1 block away from this one as well. So it gets the most out of the area. The reason I don't like this one, again, there are only 2 spawns, and the roam radius is very large. You do get this occasional third one that spawns around there, but I don't even count that one in, as it's just far too annoying to kind of keep track of. But again, the roam radius is the main thing. The reason I like that first area is because the end of the world literally cuts off half of their roam radius. These guys can roam in a giant circle, and there's nothing to stop them except the pond, but again, that is far away. So I would personally rate this one the worst, just because it doesn't have any natural barrier stopping the roam. And, I mean, that's really it. There are only 2. Now, the reason I like this other one as second, which someone's at right now, is because there are 3 of them. Even though the roam radius is large, there are 3 that are relatively close to each other. So that's it for this spot. I'm just going to try to world hop to try to get that last spot for you guys. But yeah, that's it for this one. Again, this is just south for where this actually is. If you come off the fairy rings, you come off in this direction, and then you run over here to go to my original spot. This is just right on the way where you hunt the Larupias, which I suppose you could actually do on the side if you really wanted to. If you really wanted to try your efficiency luck, because it is just right here. There's the traps. Yeah, so it is just south of the fairy ring, and then right where the hunter spot is. Basically just down 1 and over 2 from the fern. So yeah, that's it for this spot. I am going to try to find one of the main spots, and then we will be all set for the 4 main Chinchompa spots. Okay, and welcome back to the last and most popular spot to hunt Chinchompas. Now, there is somebody here. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing. I did ask him if he's using the area. Now it looks like... Okay, guys, and I am going to do this as fast as possible just to show you guys where this last spot is. Again, it is the most popular area just south of the fairy ring, and someone else is using this, so I did ask them, and they are able to let me use this spot real quick. And the most ideal setup, in my opinion, is basically the X I'm setting up right now. And the reason for this is because it actually captures 3 spawns of the Chinchompas. So if I kill these guys, you'll see, or if that one gets trapped, there's this one, in this one. You can see one spawns right there, one spawns directly below, and then one spawns over to the west here. And I mean, there are a lot of different spots. There is right there. There are a lot of different spots you can set these up, and I'm just going to actually disable my traps just to give this guy his spot back. You can set these up in a lot of different areas. There are actually 4 or 5 spawns around here, but that is the most effective in my opinion, as you are very close to 3 spawns. This west one actually gets trapped by the pond, and then really you have a good chance to get the top and the north and the south one. The reason I put this spot at number 2 is only because they have a very wide roam range, and the roam range includes all of this area and even up to basically the hills there. And that's the reason I don't like using this, as for one, it's the most popular, so there's always a lot of people here, and 2, although there are 3 spawns, they have a very, very wide roam range, and that is the biggest thing that makes me not like this spot, because you have to pay extra attention, because there is a less chance of them running back to go to your traps. So yeah, I'm just actually going to leave this spot so this guy knows I am all done, and I'm just gonna say thank you, and we will continue on our way. But yeah, as I walk back to my preferred spot, I'm just going to give my closing regards to this video. So again, in closing, I apologize that it was a bit lengthy, but I think there is quite a bit of good content in this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and it helped. I tried to give as much tips as I can. Again, I have 87 Hunter on this account, and I've gotten 99 Hunter on RS2, technically, back with Red Chinchompas in the same time period, so I do have a good understanding of the hunting skill. And I'm just going to stop here because it looks like there's quite a few guys over there, so I'm just going to leave them alone. And yeah, that's really all I got for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helped you become a little bit better of a hunter. Now again, the XP rates for this are about 88,000 per hour. You can get about 50 per 10 without paying 50 chins per 10 minutes without paying an insane amount of attention. You can raise it up to 92 to 96k XP per hour, but that is quite difficult to just focus that much. I personally don't enjoy focusing to the point where I'm not doing anything else. I do like having another browser open on the side. So if you're going to estimate, I would say around 80 to 85,000 experience per hour. And again, each chin gives 265, and is right. I don't know what the price for them are right now, but it's a good money-making method. 99 Hunter is very profitable, and overall, I enjoy Hunter. I think it's a very good skill, and I hope I've helped you become just a little bit better of a hunter. So that is all I got for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you. I'm Joseph. This is Joseph's Place, and I will see you next time. What's up, guys? I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to thumbs it up. If you didn't, thumbs the bitch down. That's what the button is for. If you want to see more content from me in the future, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I will be bringing out content of all kinds for the foreseeable future. So if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe. But yeah, that's all I got for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.